For clear signs she's already chosen you but won't tell you. Psychology tricks. Love does not begin with words, it begins with attention. That is something most men learn far too late. Right now, in your everyday life, there may already be a woman who has quietly chosen you without ever saying it out loud. Not as a possibility, not as a passing thought, but as a decision she has already made in her mind. And here's the part many men never realize: her decision often comes long before you even begin to wonder if she's interested. Most men believe attraction starts when they act, when they speak, impress, or finally gather the courage to show interest. But the truth is simpler and deeper. The real beginning often happens silently, inside her thoughts. While you are still unaware, she has already been watching, observing, and feeling. She notices how you carry yourself, how you treat people, how you respond under pressure. The small things you think no one sees, she sees them. And from those details, she slowly builds an image of you in her mind, imagining what it might feel like to be closer to you. Here's where many men miss the moment. Attraction from a woman is rarely loud or obvious. She doesn't announce it. She expresses it through patterns, through subtle shifts in behavior, small emotional investments, and quiet signals that are easy to overlook if you're not paying attention. That's why so many men have that strange realization later in life. A memory suddenly hits them and they think, wait, was she actually into me? And often the answer is yes. But by then, the moment has already passed. The signals were always there. They just didn't look the way you expected. Because real attraction is often quiet. It hides in consistency and attention, in the way someone makes space for you in their time and energy. When a woman is drawn to you, she doesn't always say it. She shows it. She creates opportunities to be around you. She gives you more of her focus. She adjusts her behavior in small ways that, on the surface, seem natural, but underneath, carry intention. What looks like coincidence is often choice. What feels like simple friendliness may carry something deeper. And once you begin to understand this, your perspective changes. You stop missing what was always right in front of you. Because the truth is, many men don't fail in love because they lack value. They fail because they never noticed when the door was already open. 1. Understanding how attraction begins. Understanding how attraction really begins will change the way you see every interaction you've ever had with a woman, because most men are living inside a story that simply isn't true. Don't assume you are always the one starting things. Be aware that what looks like your move is often just your response. That is one of the most overlooked psychology tricks in dating. For years, men have been told that they must approach, impress, and lead, while women sit back and decide. That idea sounds simple, but real life does not work that way. Real attraction is quieter, more subtle, and far more strategic. Female psychology reveals something different. Long before a man thinks about making a move, a woman has often already noticed him, already evaluated him, and in many cases, already decided whether he fits into her world. That decision does not happen loudly. It happens silently, through observation, through feeling, through what psychologists describe as internal simulation. She watches how you carry yourself. She listens to how you speak when you are not trying to impress anyone. She notices how you treat people who can do nothing for you. That is where attraction begins. Not in your words, but in your patterns. Not in your effort, but in your presence. Be clear about this. Don't chase attention blindly. Be the man worth observing. Because while you are busy wondering how to fall in love or how to attract her, she may already be running quiet scenarios in her mind, imagining conversations with you, imagining what it would feel like to be around you, imagining whether your energy brings calm or chaos into her life. That is the hidden layer of female psychology most men never see. And here is where it gets even more interesting. Once her interest begins, her behavior starts to shift, but not in obvious ways. She does not suddenly announce it. She does not make dramatic moves. Instead, she adjusts subtly. She gives more attention. She remembers small details. She positions herself closer to your environment. These are not random actions. These are signals. Quiet, consistent, easy to miss if you are not paying attention. And this is where most men fail. Don't ignore what is right in front of you. Be observant. Because while she is sending signals, you are often stuck in doubt, overthinking, questioning whether she even notices you. You assume she is just being friendly. You assume it means nothing. Meanwhile, she is watching to see if you recognize what she is offering. That gap in perception is where opportunities disappear. That is why understanding psychology tricks and female psychology is not about manipulation. It is about awareness. It is about seeing what is already happening instead of waiting for something obvious that may never come. You must train yourself to notice patterns, not just moments. One smile means little. Repeated attention means everything. One conversation can be casual. Consistent effort to be near you is intentional. That is how attraction reveals itself. Quietly, gradually, without announcement. And if you understand this, you stop chasing and start recognizing. You stop performing and start responding. That is a completely different mindset. That is where real confidence begins. Now think about this carefully. If a woman is remembering things you said days ago, if she is finding reasons to be around you, if she is paying attention when she does not need to, these are not accidents. These are early signs of emotional investment. She is already leaning toward you. She is already exploring the possibility. And yet, she may never say it directly. Why? Because part of female psychology is observing how a man responds to subtle opportunities. She wants to see if you are aware. She wants to see if you are grounded enough to notice without being told. That is where many men lose without even realizing it. They wait for certainty. They wait for clear signals. They wait for guarantees. But attraction rarely gives guarantees. It gives hints. It gives openings. It gives chances. Don't wait for perfect clarity. Be decisive when patterns are clear. That is one of the most powerful psychology tricks you can apply in your life. Because when you understand how attraction begins, you no longer feel confused by silence. You no longer misinterpret subtlety as disinterest. Instead, you begin to see the quiet language that most people ignore. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. At the same time, don't force meaning where there is none. Be grounded. Be calm. Not every interaction is attraction, but repeated, intentional behavior is rarely accidental. Learn to separate noise from signal. Learn to trust patterns over isolated moments. That is maturity. That is awareness. That is how to fall in love without losing your clarity, without chasing illusions, without wasting time on uncertainty. In the end, the biggest shift you need to make is this. Stop believing that attraction starts when you act. Start understanding that it often begins long before that, in her mind, in her observations, in her quiet decisions. You are not always starting the story. Sometimes you are stepping into one that has already begun. And when you truly understand this, you move differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself with a calm certainty that does not need validation. Because you know something most men never learn. Attraction is not loud. It is not obvious. It is not announced. It is revealed through behavior, through attention, through presence. And the man who learns to read that quiet language will always be one step ahead, not because he is trying harder, but because he finally understands what has been there all along. 2. The time window of attraction. There is a quiet truth about attraction that many men completely overlook, and by the time they finally see it, the moment has already passed them by. Attraction has a time window. It is not permanent. It does not wait forever. When a woman begins to feel something for you, when her attention turns toward you, when her energy subtly shifts in your direction, she is not planning to hold that space open indefinitely. That is your first lesson. Don't assume time is on your side. It isn't. A high-value man understands that timing is part of awareness, and awareness is part of masculine energy. If you want to attract women, you must learn to recognize not just the signal, but the moment in which that signal lives. In the beginning, her interest is soft, almost invisible. It's not loud. It's not obvious. It shows up in small ways. She lingers a little longer than necessary. She finds reasons to be near you. She speaks to you with a tone that carries warmth, even if the words themselves seem ordinary. At this stage, She is watching. She is wondering. She is giving you space to notice. Be present. Be observant. Be grounded. That is what a high value man does. He does not rush, but he does not sleep through opportunities either. This is how masculine energy operates at its best: calm, aware, and responsive. Now, here is where most men make their first mistake. They assume that if something is meant to happen, it will naturally unfold without effort. They sit back. They wait. They overthink. They hesitate. They tell themselves they need more certainty, more signs, more proof. But attraction does not reward hesitation. It responds to presence and action. While you are waiting for the moment is already moving away from you. Don't wait for perfect clarity. It rarely comes. Act on enough clarity. That is enough. As time passes and she does not receive any response from you, something subtle begins to change inside her. At first, she gives you the benefit of the doubt. She thinks maybe he just hasn't noticed yet. So she leans in a little more. She becomes slightly more obvious. She starts conversations more often. She laughs a little easier around you. She positions herself closer to you, hoping you will finally see what has been there all along. This is her extending the window. This is her giving you another chance. Don't ignore repeated opportunities. They are not random. They are intentional. But here is the turning point, and it is where everything shifts. If the response still does not come, her mind begins to protect her. This is not something she consciously decides. It happens automatically. Psychologists call it emotional self-protection. But in simple terms, it is her heart stepping back before it risks stepping too far forward alone. She starts to reinterpret your silence. What once felt like maybe he hasn't noticed becomes maybe he is not interested. And once that thought takes root, everything changes. Her behavior adjusts, not dramatically, not all at once, but gradually. She stops placing herself around you as often. She no longer initiates conversations with the same enthusiasm. The lightness, the playful tone, the subtle warmth, it fades. Not because she never felt anything, but because she has decided it is safer not to feel it anymore. Understand this clearly. Attraction does not always disappear because it was not real. Sometimes it disappears because it was not acknowledged. From your perspective, nothing happened. You might think she was just being friendly, or maybe I imagined it. But from her perspective, an entire emotional journey took place. She noticed you. She felt something. She gave signals. She waited. She hoped. And then, when nothing came back, she closed that door quietly, without announcement. That is why so many men say, "I didn't even know she liked me." Of course you didn't. You were not paying attention to the window. And now the window is gone. This is where being a high-value man truly matters. It is not about being flashy. It is not about trying too hard. It is about awareness, timing, and emotional intelligence. A man who understands how to attract women does not chase blindly, but he also does not ignore what is right in front of him. He reads energy. He responds with calm confidence. He takes action when action is needed. That is masculine energy in motion, steady, intentional, and decisive. Let me be very clear. Don't confuse patience with passivity. Patience is calm readiness. Passivity is silent avoidance. One creates opportunity. The other kills it. You must learn the difference. You must train yourself to notice when someone is leaning toward you, even in subtle ways. And when you see it, you must meet it halfway. Not aggressively. Not desperately. But clearly, because clarity builds connection, and connection is what attraction is quietly asking for. There is also a deeper lesson here, one that goes beyond dating. In life, many opportunities come with a window, not just in attraction, but in business, in friendships, in growth. The moment appears, it lingers, and then it moves on. If you hesitate too long, you don't just miss the outcome, you miss the experience entirely. And over time, those missed moments begin to shape your life in ways you don't even realize. Be a man who sees the moment. Be a man who respects it. Be a man who moves when it matters. So if you truly want to attract women, don't focus only on what to say or how to impress. Focus on awareness. Focus on timing. Focus on presence. Because the truth is simple, but not always comfortable, she may have already chosen you at one point. She may have already felt that quiet pull toward you. But if you did not respond within that window, she may have also chosen to walk away without ever telling you. And that is the part most men never see. If you're hearing this, don't ignore it. Opportunities don't wait forever, and neither does attraction. You must recognize the moment, and you must act. So if you're ready to stop missing your chance, drop this in the comments right now. I see the moment, and I take action. Like the video, subscribe for more real insight, and remember this: hesitation closes doors that confidence would have opened. First sign: she keeps showing up around you. The first sign is subtle, quiet, almost invisible to the untrained eye, and that is exactly why most men miss it. But you must not miss it, because this is where awareness begins and where your advantage is built. She keeps showing up around you, again and again, in ways that seem casual, accidental, even logical on the surface. Yet, when you step back and observe like a man guided by old Stoic wisdom, you begin to see the pattern, and patterns never lie. Understand this clearly. People do not invest time, energy, and movement without a reason. And as Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So stop looking at her actions as random events and start seeing them as intentional behavior shaped by emotion. She chooses the longer route. She appears in places she does not need to be. She aligns her schedule in ways that quietly intersect with yours. And no, this is not coincidence. This is investment. And investment always follows value. In modern life, where people are busy, distracted, and constantly optimizing for convenience, no one repeatedly places themselves in your path without an internal reason. And that reason is emotional interest, whether she admits it or not. You must train your perception, sharpen your awareness, and develop what I call an iron mind. Because the average man reacts blindly, while the disciplined man observes calmly and understands deeply. Do not rush to conclusions, but do not ignore patterns either. Because repetition is the language of truth. And when someone repeatedly chooses proximity to you, they are revealing priority without speaking. Think about your own life. You avoid what does not matter, and you move toward what does. And she is doing the same, just more subtly, more carefully, more emotionally. This is where Stoicism win becomes practical. Because instead of chasing, instead of overthinking, instead of doubting yourself, you simply observe. You remain grounded, and you let reality reveal itself over time. Epictetus said, "First learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak." And in this context, first learn the meaning of what you see, then decide how to act. Her presence is communication. Her consistency is confirmation. And your job is not to interrupt the process with neediness, but to stand firm with clarity. Be calm. Be aware. Be patient. Because attraction often grows in silence before it ever becomes visible in words. Many men fail here because they are conditioned to look for obvious signals, dramatic gestures, clear confessions. But real interest often moves quietly, almost invisibly, like a current beneath the surface. And only the man with an iron mind can feel it. Do not dismiss what seems small. Because small, repeated actions create undeniable truth. And this is a principle not only in attraction, but in life itself, in business, in discipline, in growth. Everything that matters is built through repetition. When she keeps showing up, she is not just passing by. She is investing attention. And attention is one of the most valuable currencies in the modern world. People guard their time fiercely. They avoid inconvenience. They minimize effort. Yet, she increases effort just to be near you. And that shift tells you everything you need to know. Now listen carefully. Do not chase her because of this. Do not confront her. Do not rush the process. Because the moment you act from urgency, you lose the quiet power that makes you attractive in the first place. Instead, embody Stoicism win. Stay composed. Stay centered. And allow her actions to continue revealing her intentions. Your strength is not in reacting. Your strength is in understanding. And understanding gives you control. In today's world, Where many people are driven by instant gratification and emotional impulsiveness, the man who can remain steady, observant, and disciplined stands out without trying. And that is the essence of old Stoic wisdom, to master yourself before attempting to interpret others. So when you notice her showing up again and again and again, do not brush it off. Do not label it as luck or coincidence. Recognize it for what it is: a quiet signal of interest, a subtle investment of energy, a nonverbal decision she has already made internally. And here is your instruction: do not ignore patterns, do not doubt consistent behavior, and do not underestimate silent attraction. Because the man who sees clearly moves differently, thinks differently, and wins differently. Build your awareness. Strengthen your iron mind. And remember this: attraction does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it simply appears, repeatedly, patiently, and intentionally, waiting for the right man to notice. Second sign: she remembers small details. Second sign: she remembers small details, and you must not underestimate this, because what looks simple on the surface is often where the deepest signals hide. Most men overlook it, dismiss it, or label it as basic politeness, but that is a mistake you cannot afford to make if you want to understand female psychology and truly master the subtle psychology tricks behind attraction. Because when a woman recalls something small you mentioned in passing, a favorite drink, a story about your childhood, a random opinion you barely remember sharing, that is not accidental. That is attention. That is investment. That is emotional tracking happening quietly in the background. And here's the truth you must accept: people remember what matters to them. They remember what they are emotionally engaged with, and they forget what they are indifferent to. So when she brings up a detail you yourself forgot, you are not witnessing politeness, you're witnessing selective memory guided by interest. As Maya Angelou once said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And when she remembers your details, it means you made her feel something strong enough to anchor those moments in her mind. And that is one of the clearest indicators of attraction you will ever see. Don't ignore it. Don't downplay it. Don't brush it off as coincidence. Be aware. Be present. Be sharp enough to recognize what is happening, because this is how to fall in love in the real world, not through grand gestures, but through quiet accumulation of meaningful moments. Now understand this deeper layer, because this is where most men fail. She is not just remembering facts, she is building a mental map of you. She is piecing together who you are, what you value, what makes you laugh, what frustrates you, what excites you, and she is doing it without announcing it, without making it obvious, without asking for recognition. And that requires effort. That requires curiosity. That requires emotional attention, which are all elements rooted deeply in female psychology. Don't be the man who waits for obvious signals like flirting or direct compliments while ignoring the powerful subtle ones happening right in front of him, because attraction rarely shouts, it whispers. It reveals itself through small, consistent behaviors, and remembering details is one of the strongest psychology tricks the mind uses when it is drawn to someone. Now here is your responsibility. Don't just notice it, respond to it correctly, because awareness without action leads nowhere. You must acknowledge it naturally, appreciate it without overreacting, and continue showing that same level of attentiveness in return, because connection grows through mutual awareness, not one-sided effort. Don't turn it into a performance. Don't suddenly become overly eager. Just stay grounded, stay calm, and let your response match her level of investment. That is how to fall in love without losing your balance, without chasing, without forcing anything. And understand this clearly, because it will change how you see interactions forever. When a woman remembers small details, she is showing you that you exist in her mind even when you are not physically present. She is revisiting conversations, replaying moments, and holding on to fragments of who you are, and that is not casual, that is emotional engagement building over time. Many men spend their lives trying to impress through big moves, through loud actions, through obvious displays, but they miss the quiet signals that matter most. They miss the moments where real connection is forming beneath the surface, and then they wonder why they feel confused, why they cannot read the situation, why they miss opportunities that were right in front of them. Don't be that man. Be the one who understands that attraction is built in layers, in details, in consistency, in attention, and that mastering these psychology tricks gives you clarity, confidence, and control over your interactions. Female psychology is not complicated when you stop looking for extremes and start paying attention to patterns. And this pattern, her remembering your small details, is one of the most reliable signs you will ever encounter. So next time she brings up something you forgot you even said, pause for a moment. Don't rush past it. Don't laugh it off. Recognize it for what it is, a signal, a choice, a quiet decision she has already made about you. And then carry yourself accordingly, with calm confidence, with awareness, with purpose, because this is how to fall in love in a grounded, mature way, not by guessing, not by hoping, but by seeing clearly what is already unfolding in front of you. If this opened your eyes, don't just watch, act on it. Like the video, subscribe for more sharp insights, and drop this in the comments right now. Attention reveals intention. Third sign, her behavior changes around other women. The third sign that a woman has already chosen you often reveals itself in a moment most men overlook, when another woman enters the picture. Not when you are alone with her. Not when the conversation feels easy. But when attention is no longer exclusive. That is when truth quietly steps forward. And here is the key. The reaction is rarely loud, rarely obvious, rarely dramatic. It does not announce itself. It whispers. It hides in subtle shifts, in micro adjustments, in energy you feel before you fully understand it. Most men expect competition to look like confrontation. They imagine tension, sharp words, or visible jealousy. Don't make that mistake. Real interest, especially from a woman who values herself, does not show up that way. It shows up in controlled behavior, in awareness, in quiet recalibration. That is what you must learn to see. When another woman joins the interaction, watch her closely. Not in a desperate way. Be calm. Be observant. Be present. Because this is where her investment reveals itself. A woman who has already chosen you does not suddenly become a different person, but she becomes more intentional. Her attention sharpens. Her presence becomes more focused. She may speak a little more clearly. She may laugh a little more naturally. She may position herself just slightly closer to you. Small things, but meaningful things. That is not coincidence. That is strategy guided by emotion. You must understand something important. Attraction is not just about how she acts when everything is comfortable. It is about how she reacts when there is something to lose. And the presence of another woman introduces exactly that, a perceived shift in attention, a possible threat. Not because she is insecure, but because she values the connection she feels with you. Now, does she become aggressive? No. Does she try to overpower the other woman? No. That is not how a grounded, self-respecting woman behaves. Instead, she refines her presence. She becomes more engaged with you, more tuned in, more responsive. She wants to remind you, without saying it, that there is something real between you. This is where many men fail. They don't notice. Or worse, they misinterpret. They think she is just being social, polite, friendly. But look deeper. Notice the difference between how she interacts with you versus how she interacts with others. Notice the eye contact. Notice the timing of her responses. Notice how often she brings the conversation back to you. That is not random. That is focus. A woman who has not chosen you will remain consistent regardless of who enters the scene. Her behavior will not shift in any meaningful way. She is relaxed because she is not emotionally invested. But a woman who has chosen you, she becomes aware of the dynamic. She becomes more intentional with her energy. She doesn't need to compete loudly. She simply chooses to show up more fully. That is power. Quiet power. Be a high-value man and recognize this. Don't ignore it. Don't brush it off. Because this is one of the clearest psychological signals you will ever witness. It is not about drama. It is about direction. Her attention is choosing you, even in the presence of alternatives. Sometimes, this shift can be even more subtle. She might start asking you more questions. She might recall something you said earlier and bring it back into the conversation. She might lightly touch your arm or lean in just a bit closer when she speaks. These are not accidents. These are expressions of interest filtered through awareness. And here is where masculine energy becomes essential. You must remain steady. Don't react impulsively. Don't suddenly try to prove yourself. Don't become performative. That is not strength. That is insecurity disguised as effort. Instead, be grounded. Be composed. Let her come closer. Let her invest. That is how you attract women naturally. Not by chasing attention, but by allowing space for it to come to you. There is an old idea that says, what people do when they feel they might lose you tells you everything. And while that may sound simple, it carries deep truth. Because when attention becomes uncertain, intention becomes visible. Masks drop. Priorities reveal themselves. You must train yourself to see this. Another detail most men miss is how she positions herself physically. When another woman is present, she may subtly align her body toward you. Her feet, her shoulders, even the direction of her gaze. These are unconscious signals of where her attention truly lies. Words can be controlled, but the body often tells the truth without permission. Don't overlook that. Also, notice her emotional tone. Does she become slightly more playful with you? Slightly more engaged? Slightly more present? These are signs that she is not indifferent. She is choosing to deepen the connection, even in a shared environment. And here is the part you must understand deeply. This behavior is not about insecurity. It is about selection. She has already decided, internally, that you matter to her. And when another woman appears, that internal decision begins to express itself externally, even if only in small ways. That is why this sign is so powerful, because it happens naturally, without planning, without performance. It is emotion meeting circumstance. Now, your role in this dynamic is simple, but not easy. You must remain centered. You must remain observant. And most importantly, you must not interrupt the process by seeking validation. Don't ask, "Do you like me?" Don't try to force clarity. Let her behavior speak. Let her investment grow. Be the man who understands without needing everything explained. That is what a high-value man does. He reads energy. He respects signals. He moves with awareness, not desperation. And if you truly want to attract women, especially women who are thoughtful and self-aware, you must learn to appreciate subtlety. Not everything meaningful is loud. Not everything important is obvious. In fact, the most genuine signals are often the quietest ones. So the next time you find yourself in a situation where another woman enters the interaction, don't get distracted. Don't get confused. Observe. Feel the shift. Watch how she responds. Because in that moment, without saying a single word, she may be showing you exactly where you stand. And once you see it, don't ignore it. Be calm. Be steady. Be the man who understands what others miss. Fourth sign, she shares her vulnerabilities. Fourth sign, she shares her vulnerabilities. This is where everything changes, and if you miss this, you miss the truth entirely. Because when a woman begins to open up about her fears, her past, her doubts, her insecurities, she is not just talking. She is choosing. And as Brené Brown once said, vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. That is exactly what you are witnessing in real time, not performance, not surface-level charm, but something raw, something real, something that requires trust. And trust is never given lightly. Understand this clearly. People protect their inner world. They guard it. They filter it. They hide the parts that feel fragile, especially in today's world where everyone is presenting strength, success, and confidence on the outside while quietly carrying storms within. So when she allows you to see beyond that outer layer, when she tells you things she does not casually share with others, that is not accidental, that is intentional. That is emotional investment, and you must treat it as such. Do not mistake vulnerability for something insignificant. Do not rush to fix it. Do not dismiss it, because this is where many men fail. They think attraction is built through impressing, through performing, through saying the perfect line. But old Stoic wisdom teaches something deeper. Connection is built through presence, through steadiness, through the ability to hold space without losing yourself. And that is where Stoicism win begins, not in chasing, but in grounding, not in reacting, but in understanding. When she shares her struggles, she is testing something silently. Can you handle reality, or do you only want the polished version of her? Can you stay calm, or do you become uncomfortable? Can you listen, or do you interrupt with solutions? Because an iron mind does not rush. An iron mind observes, absorbs, and responds with clarity. And this is your moment to demonstrate that. Think about modern life. Think about how rare genuine conversations have become. People scroll. People distract themselves. People avoid depth. So when someone chooses depth with you, when she steps out of the noise and into honesty, that is a signal you cannot ignore. That is a privilege you must earn again and again, through your behavior, through your consistency, through your emotional control. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. That is your instruction. Be the man who can handle truth. Be the man who does not flinch at emotional depth. Be the man who remains steady when others become reactive. Because this is what separates those who simply attract attention from those who build real connection. And understand this clearly, she is not sharing her vulnerabilities with everyone. She is selecting you quietly, carefully, and often without announcing it. And if you are paying attention, you will see the pattern. She tells you about a difficult experience from her past. She admits something she is unsure about. She reveals a fear she does not show publicly. And each time she does this, she is lowering her guard, step by step, giving you access to parts of her that are not available to the world. And that is not something you earn through words, that is something you earn through presence. Do not respond with judgment. Do not respond with indifference. Respond with calm understanding, because that is what builds attraction at the deepest level, not surface excitement, but emotional safety. And this is where Stoicism win becomes practical, not theoretical, because in that moment, you must control your reactions. You must resist the urge to dominate the conversation. You must avoid turning it into something about yourself. You must simply be there, grounded, attentive, aware. And here is the truth many overlook. When a woman feels safe enough to be vulnerable with you, she is not just sharing, she is bonding. She is creating an emotional connection that goes beyond attraction, beyond curiosity, into something more stable, more meaningful. And if you handle it correctly, you strengthen that bond. If you mishandle it, you break it. So be intentional. Be disciplined. Because an iron mind understands timing, understands silence, understands that sometimes the strongest response is not to speak more, but to listen better. In modern relationships, this is rare, and that is why it stands out, that is why it matters. Because while others are trying to impress, you are building trust. While others are reacting emotionally, you're staying centered. While others are chasing validation, you're offering stability. And that difference is everything. Remember this, attraction may begin with curiosity, but it deepens through trust. And trust is built in moments like these. Quiet moments, honest moments, moments where she chooses to be real with you instead of perfect. And your role is not to fix, not to judge, but to understand, to acknowledge, to remain steady. As Epictetus taught, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. And this is not just philosophy, this is strategy. This is how you stand out without trying too hard. This is how you create a connection that others cannot replicate. So do not overlook this sign. Do not minimize it. Do not treat it casually. Because this is one of the clearest indicators that she has already chosen you, even if she never says it directly, even if she never labels it. Her actions reveal it. Her openness confirms it. And your response determines what happens next. Be calm, be present, be grounded, because that is what makes you different. That is what makes you memorable. That is what allows you to move from being just another option to becoming the man she trusts, the man she feels understood by, the man she chooses, not just emotionally, but intentionally. And this is where old Stoic wisdom meets real life. This is where Stoicism win becomes your advantage. This is where your iron mind turns quiet moments into powerful connections. And if you can master this, if you can truly understand and apply it, you will not need to chase, you will not need to guess. Because the signs will be clear and your path will be steady. And that is how you win, not loudly, not forcefully, but quietly, confidently, and with purpose. All right, my friend, now you're no longer guessing, you're seeing. And that alone puts you ahead of most men. Because the truth is simple, but most people ignore it. Attraction is not some mysterious force you can never understand. It shows itself quietly, consistently, through behavior, through attention, through energy. And now you know exactly what to look for. When she finds reasons to be near you, when she remembers the smallest details about your life, when her behavior subtly shifts the moment another woman enters the picture, and when she opens up to you on a deeper emotional level, these are not random moments. These are patterns. These are decisions already made in her mind before a single word is spoken. But here's where most men fail. Not in understanding, in hesitation, in overthinking, in waiting too long. They see the signs, but they doubt themselves. They question reality. They convince themselves they need more proof, more certainty, more time. And while they are stuck in their own heads, the moment passes. Because attraction has a window. And if you don't step into that moment with calm confidence, it doesn't wait for you. It moves on, quietly, without announcement. So take this advice seriously. Don't rush, but don't freeze. A strong man is not reactive, but he is also not passive. He observes. He understands. And when the signal is clear, he moves with intention. Not desperation, not pressure, just clarity, just presence, just quiet confidence. That is what separates a man who misses opportunities from a man who creates them. And remember this, your power is not in forcing anything. Your power is in awareness, in self-control, in the ability to read what others overlook and respond in a way that is grounded, calm, and decisive. That's how you build real attraction. That's how you become the man she feels safe choosing and the man who knows exactly when he's been chosen. If this opened your eyes even a little, then stay on this path. There's more to learn, more to understand. And in the next video, we go even deeper into the signals most men completely miss, the ones that change everything once you see them. It's already on your screen right now. Click it, watch it. Don't break the momentum you've started here today. Take care, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next video.